I want to get to the market reaction now with our very own Jared Blikre. Jared, I'm seeing the Dow losses accelerate, but also bond yields moving higher.
Yes, let's take a look at equities first. We can see the Dow is an underperformer here. It's down 1%. Russell 2000 down 1.3%. You can see took that leg lower here. The NASDAQ had been positive and it sunk into the red here. You can see a little bit off of its lows. But of course, we're still waiting for Powell to take the podium. And that's really when we see the fireworks. You mentioned bond yields. Well, here are the bond futures. 2-year Treasury note futures, they are sinking right now. That means yields are going up. And let me just take a look at some of the other futures movements here. First, actually, let me take a look at the dollar. This is going to be the euro versus the US dollar. So we're seeing a little bit of weakening in the euro, which is strengthening in the dollar, but not a huge move there. If this is, in fact, a hawkish pause, we would expect to see potentially a stronger dollar along with yields going up, and that's what's been happening here. Let me take a look at gold. You can see gold kind of buying into this little bit of hawkishness here. Not a huge move, but we can see back down to the lows and exceeding the lows on the day. And then Dr. Copper, let's take a look at that. We can see copper futures down slightly as potentially the Fed kills off demand. That's how the thinking works, but not a big movement there. And then got to take a look at Bitcoin. A lot of people laughed. I was looking at Bitcoin over the last several meetings here because it has been highly levered and correlated with the Fed's balance sheet, and we can see a bit of weakening in Bitcoin as well. And I'd just like to remind people, as I pull up the sector action, I went back and I looked at pauses historically. Global financial crisis, big one there. Fed was raising for a couple years. 2006, they paused into 2007 for over a year. In that time, guess what? The stock market rose, but the stock market was already in a bull market. Here, the market was in a bear market before the Fed began tightening. So that is a huge difference. Most of the sectors were in the green earlier. Staples is the only, and that's a defensive sector, that's in the green here, along with tech just a little bit. Energy taking it to the downside along with healthcare. And here's a look at the NASDAQ as well. Not a lot of standouts in terms of green.
Well, I actually wanted to get you to double click on the NASDAQ a little bit here, Jared, because we have seen the fate of so many of these large cap tech stocks sort of move inversely to rates this year. That's sort of been less true recently when the AI enthusiasm is sort of taken over. But it's interesting that we don't see sort of a uniform reaction there. We're at Microsoft, Nvidia, Microsoft barely, but in the green. And then, well, I lied. Now Microsoft's in the red. But
yes, it's you.
Let's take a look at Nvidia here. Yeah. We did see a little bit of a slump in Nvidia. As we see Treasury yields rising, that is not good for these longer-term growth stocks, but not much of a hit there in terms of Nvidia. If it is in fact flying or has been flying off of bubblish circumstances here, guess what? That can trump everything else. You can throw fundamentals out the window. Microsoft down a little bit there as well. And let's check out some of the kahunas, Apple and Tesla. There's Apple sinking into the red, but not by much. And then where did Tesla go? They're down. Tesla down about 2%. Is it going to be up 14 days in a row? Not right now.
Not at the moment, no. But both of those stocks, Tesla and Apple, coming off of big runs. Apple, of course, very recently at a record high.